The British monarchy has always thrived on images of unity, ritual and continuity. Every December, millions around the world look to the traditional Sandringham walk, where the family lines up, coats buttoned and hats firmly in place, to signal that the House of Windsor is strong, bonded and unshakable. But this year, the picture will look very different. Two familiar faces will be missing, not by accident, not because of diary clashes, but by deliberate royal design. King Charles has quietly but firmly drawn a line in the snow, and Prince Andrew along with his former wife Sarah Ferguson have found themselves on the other side of it. For the monarchy, optics are oxygen. And in 2025, the supply is tightly controlled. Behind the calm palace walls, this decision has been building for months. 4 years Andrew and Sarah have lived under a rain cloud of scandal, dragging the royal name through headlines that refuse to fade. Their connections with Jeffrey Epstein remain a ghost that won't leave the room. Every time the dust seems to settle, something blows it up again. This time, it was an email. Sarah Ferguson, astonishingly, appeared to refer to Epstein as her generous and supreme friend. In a world already scarred by the knowledge of Epstein's crimes, that phrase landed like dynamite. The outrage was instant, visceral and global. For King Charles, there was no longer space to balance loyalty and public expectation. Action was demanded. And action came. The directive was simple, brutal and symbolic. Andrew and Sarah are to be excluded from high-profile family occasions. Not just official duties, which Andrew lost years ago. Not just military roles, which he relinquished in disgrace. But even the carefully curated family appearances that signal belonging. Christmas at Sandringham, with its cameras and church steps, is the most iconic. To be cut out of that picture is not just a social slight. It is an institutional sentence in bold letters. You are no longer part of the story we show the world. To understand the gravity, you must see what Sandringham means. Those smiling walks are not private family holidays, they are acts of theatre. Every frame is designed to project harmony, hierarchy, resilience. When those images are beamed across continents, they serve as a reassurance that the crown is unshaken, its family united. Exclusion from that ritual is exile from the heart of the monarchy's public soul. For Andrew, it cements his status as a non-working royal, erased from the script of duty and dignity. For Sarah, who has fought for decades to carve her way back into the fold, it is a slammed door. But behind the king's move, there is another hand, steady and insistent. Prince William's influence is all over this decision. The heir has made no secret of his vision for a streamlined, modern monarchy, fewer faces, higher standards, sharper focus. He knows that in the 21st century, public trust is fragile and unforgiving. A single photograph of a discredited uncle walking beside him to church would undo months of careful work. His calculation is ruthless but clear. No moral ambiguity can survive the cameras. Observers have already called this a triumph for William. Commentators describe it as his hard-won victory, a moment where his stance forced the king's hand. Charles, ever torn between personal affection and public duty, could not resist the logic forever. The Church of England's supreme governor cannot walk beside names linked to Epstein's flight logs. The optics are impossible. So the sovereign conceded, aligning with the heir's insistence that clarity must outweigh compassion. One journalist put it starkly, William has won, Charles has lost, Andrew has been cast out again. The phrase again is the sting. Andrew has been here before. In 2019, after his catastrophic Newsnight interview, he stepped back from duties. His military titles were stripped. His royal patronages returned. He became a ghost of a prince, living quietly in royal lodge, his reputation in ashes. Yet he clung to proximity. Attending the odd private family event, appearing alongside Sarah at Windsor, staying visible in small ways. Now, even those thin threads are being cut. For the monarchy, this is not just about one disgraced duke. It is about survival. The crown has three currencies: service, symbolism, and trust. Each is fragile. Each can be devalued by a single image. In an era where clips circulate endlessly, ambiguity becomes content, and content becomes consensus. By excluding Andrew and Sarah from the frame, the palace clarifies the story. This family protects its integrity, even at personal cost. Yet with every boundary comes risk. Andrew remains a prince, the son of a queen, a man who once stood close to the center. Exile breeds resentment, and resentment searches for a stage. Some fear he may follow the path of his nephew Harry, turning to a memoir, a tell-all. And if Harry's spare rattled the monarchy, an Andrew version could be an earthquake. He lived longer at the late Queen's side, saw different eras, absorbed different secrets. He could reveal details of how the family managed his scandals, expose conversations the palace once buried, or air grievances with bitterness sharper than Harry's. The prospect of such a book is a nightmare scenario. It would not heal, it would burn. The other risks are quieter but real. Royal Lodge, Andrew's home, could become a pressure point if finances tighten. Sarah's commercial ventures could falter under the fresh taint, creating dependency tensions. Each of these could spill into headlines the palace would rather avoid. That is why insiders believe the king's strategy may combine hard boundaries with private compassion: no cameras, no balcony, but some measure of family contact behind closed doors to reduce the sting. Compassion privately, distance publicly. Quarantine, not cruelty. This decision also plays on a global stage. The monarchy is not only for Britain, it is for the Commonwealth realms, many of which are already questioning their ties to the crown. Any appearance of moral compromise fuels Republican arguments abroad. By drawing a bright line, Charles and William remove a weapon from their critics. It says, "We will not protect those who stain the institution." That message travels far beyond Norfolk. And yet, this is also about the father and son at the core of the crown. Charles made the choice. But William's fingerprints are visible. This is a rehearsal for the monarchy to come. William governs reputation like a balance sheet. Protect it, grow it, or cut what drains it. That discipline, sometimes ruthless, is the shape of his future reign. Charles, the bridge king, connected eras, carried burdens, hesitated before cutting. William will not hesitate. For him, usefulness beats sentiment. Velvet must be earned with steel. The public response tells its own story. Where once sympathy might have softened the blow, today applause greets the exclusion. People want accountability with their pageantry. They will embrace tradition if the performers meet modern ethical standards. The monarchy has finally matched public expectation: no special treatment, no compromise with disgrace. So this winter, as the cameras roll at Sandringham, two absences will say more than any speech. The images of Charles, William, Kate, and the next generation walking together will be read as reassurance, stability, continuity. And the missing figures will whisper their own truth: exile is permanent. For Andrew, this is the end of a long fall. For Sarah, another slammed door. For Charles, a painful duty fulfilled. For William, a victory that signals the crown's future. The monarchy survives not by clinging to every branch of its family tree, but by pruning the parts that threaten its survival. And that is what has happened here: a pruning, deliberate and final. The crown has chosen clarity over compromise. And clarity, at last, has consequences.